We are live, kind of. We've got the wrong screen going on here. Now we have the right screen going on here. That's how things are happening today. It's Monday, but we're live on the Egg Pod. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. We got Naratu Sage 10106 is a new follower. Thank you for the follow. I see we got LKSA and Greedy 777 are already in chat making noise. Elkie says, hi all, how was the pre-release? Greed says, Atraxa is good in sealed, who would have thought? Naratu Sage says, good day, sir. Good day, Naratu Sage. First thing we got to do before we get started with anything else is the usual. We're going to hit the patrons thing and say a big shout out to our patrons, because our patrons are just amazing. We've got Uncommon Eggies of the Jolly Orange Bunny, Ricardo Leone, Ratcatcher, Grant Harris. Our rare Eggies are Stefan Engelbrecht, Shadow Panther, Robert Wild, Philip Thompson, Legendary Lily, Kamikaze Badger, Kahuna Koala, Ivan Kallitz Crockett, Clinton Riddell, Clayton Bucker, Christopher Crane, Christoph Swartz, and Ansel. You guys rock. You make things so cool, and you do such amazing stuff for us. We really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for the support. But let's get back to liveness and welcome our guests this evening, becoming regulars on the show, guys. What's going on here? We got Rob Wild from Top Deck and Phil Thompson from Sad Robot. Thanks for joining me this evening, fellas.
Hello.
Cool.
Guys, how's it going?
I do just want to say this. I mean, and Elkie's question about how was pre-release. Now, I mentioned to you guys off air, he can elaborate in chat, I'm sure, but his first pre-release, he apparently pulled 3 Phyrexian arenas, one of which was a promo foil. He pulled 2 Alish Norns, some duplicates of something else, and then got to play with and meet Post Malone. So I don't think that first pre-release of his was worthwhile. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think it was a waste of money.
Yeah, I reckon. He should have stayed home.
Give his money back.
Yeah,
Definitely.
You know. Anyway, Elkie, that's an amazing pre-release, dude, and thanks for sharing that photo on Easy Gaming Group. You blew up all our minds. I think we were kind of like, what the hell? But anyway, Elkie says, but my results were terrible.
It does not matter.
It doesn't matter. I had a pretty good pre-release. I was at the Stone Dragon on Friday night. Had a nice little pre-release out there. Came 4th. Finished up in 4th place at the pre-release. I managed to pull. I pulled the red Dominus Solemn. What's his name? Sophim, whatever that guy.
Sophim, yeah.
Red Dominus. I also got the which I'm very happy about because I was quite keen on the card. Particularly was I got the foil extended art Kaito, the new Planeswalker, Kaito Planeswalker, which I'm quite happy about. It was actually quite funny. I ended up playing a Naya deck for most of the night, and then in the last game, I decided, you know what, I pulled this freaking Kaito, I'd like to use it. And so I built a whole new Demir deck for the last game, which really didn't go in my favor. I ended up losing 2-0. But hey, but I got to play Kaito, and Kaito does cool stuff. That is a very cool Planeswalker. I was very happy with them. You guys, obviously, Phil, Rob, you guys as store managers and store owners, you must have had a hell of a weekend, both of you. Rob, talk to us about Top Deck's pre-release weekend. How was it?
Yeah, no, it was an epic weekend. We had like 70 pre-release players through the doors over the 3 days, so that was quite epic. Lots of cool stuff being opened, lots of cool gameplay. I think just in general, like good vibes. People had fun. People enjoying the new set, and I think everyone pleasantly enjoying Toxic for the first time ever. You could say that on stream.
So
people enjoying Toxic.
I did a thing, realizing that Toxic was going to be a thing, not just obviously in standard and stuff, but Explorer and Modern. There are some cards that are going to be going in there quite a bit. So I went on a bit of a shopping spree just to make sure I was protected. So and I got myself some solemnities just to make sure. Phil, how was pre-release at Top Deck? I mean, at Sad Robot.
Sad Robot. No.
That sad deck.
It was
and the sad deck and the Top Robot.
Away. No, pre-release was a lot of fun. Yeah, in the store as well. We sold out on the weekend on our packs as well, so a lot of fun. I think the games went a lot quicker this weekend. If there's something that I can take away from it, the games didn't last until they lost 20 life. It's like 10 poison counters and the games was over.
A lot quicker.
There were some fun decks, fun plays, and it was all in all a successful weekend. And the guys really enjoy the new cards. Really enjoy the new cards. And the look of some of these art on these cards are insane. The guys were speaking in the shop and go, look at this, look at this, look at this. So, I mean, the art of these cards and some of the cards are just insane.
No, we know all the magpies out there are doing their nuts in right now, especially with 16 versions of Elish Norn available.
Yeah, craziness.
You know, but anyway, yeah.
I'm gonna hide.
Was saying,
I'm
saying
hide.
oil was good. What did you guys think of the new oil counters mechanic? How did that work for you guys?
Yeah, so I actually played blue in my pre-release.
What?
Okay, who are you and what have you done with Rob?
Yeah, where's Rob?
So I forget the name of the card, but I had this artifact. It's 4 mana, it comes in with 4 oil counters on it, and then you tap it.
Tamiyo's thingamajig.
Yeah, so you get to tap down an artifact or a creature your opponent controls.
Yeah.
So that gave me the feels of when I played standard back in original Ravnica block, where Glare of Subdual was a thing, and you could play it in a deck, and tap a creature you control, tap down target creature, and so that felt really good, and it was really awesome to proliferate as well.
Yeah.
And I mean, I couldn't refine my deck below 50 cards, so I ended up playing a 50 card deck, but I had 2 counter spells that showed up regularly, and yes, I did counter people stuff, and then I had a Jace.
How
so
the mighty have fallen.
I felt terrible when I mulled out Jamie, Ryan's young daughter. I mulled her out in a game with the Jace, which was kind of gross. But yeah, so, I mean, my sealed pack. It was a Sultai deck. So it was blue, green, black. Yeah,
sure. No, you call it paint it with whatever brush you like, Rob. Even Nocturnal Knight in chat has said Rob played blue. He's a traitor, an imposter, a cheating blue player. This is in chat.
I know. But that artifact was too good not to play.
It was a very good artifact. It did lots of damage to me at one point as well. I think Kelsey played against me in our game during my pre-release.
I kept one Phyrexian Obliterator at bay for an entire game with that.
Now that I would be okay with doing, blue or otherwise. Anything to keep that card away.
Yeah, that card just the Obliterator just stayed tapped for every single card.
There's some really nice. I find that there's some really nice removal in white, some early removal that you can use to get rid of stuff. I mean, obviously not sort of big exile effects or things, but there's some nice sort of pacifism effects that you can use on things like the Obliterator, etc., etc., and they're nice and cheap, which I thought was kind of cool. It's kind of why I went with the Naya, because I didn't see that I had a lot of removal in my other colors until I actually sat down and looked properly through the black and blue after my third round. I was like, hey, hold on. I've got Vraskus Fall, and I've got this. Hey, I could kill stuff.
Black had some power removal.
Yeah, no,
like 1 mana, sacrifice a creature or an artifact, destroy a creature. There was nutty stuff. But it was just fun gameplay.
Phil, what did you play?
So I actually decided Friday night, let the players play. I just sat back and looked at the guys playing and walked in between the tables and some crazy games. So after all the dust settled, I think it was Ryan and Junior in the final, and Ryan opened up 2 Vraskas and almost this completely mono black deck almost. And Junior had this whole oil mechanic down to the ground, man. This Ryan, and they were at it that game. No, that was amazing, and it shows you that some of these new mechanics, man, in the correct setting, in the correct deck, some of these mechanics can really, really do a lot of work for you.
For sure.
But I think the card that stood out for me the most was that Forge. What's the name of that card?
Urbrask's Forge.
Urbrask's Forge. Man,
that was a powerhouse X1.
Yeah, that was a powerhouse card in the pre-release. Every time a guy would drop that Forge, and that Forge would stay on the battlefield 4 or 5 turns, then that normally would just take over the game
I
completely.
must say, from my own perspective, I didn't get a chance to go and look around at too many other games that were going on around me, but one of the cards that I played in my deck that I thought was a clutch card, particularly in those colors, and was my foil, my promo card, was Green Sun Zenith. And that card is power. I mean, and it's so easy to get to the 5x to be able to just go find land in a big stompy thing and just throw them on the battlefield. And you're like, have that, you bastard. You know?
Green Sun's Twilight.
Twilight, yeah, sorry, not Zenith.
Yeah.
Green Sun's Twilight, that's right.
But the red one was good as well. The Red Sun's Twilight. That was a good card to open up in the pre-release or one of your pre-release packs. And if you would have been in red, that was a good card to have.
Sure. Actually,
I don't know if it's just me.
Sorry?
I don't know if it's me, but Philip sounds like he's on Red Bull.
Philip, I just actually wanted to ask you, could you like jump out and jump back in again? Just reset your connection? Because your audio is going like...
Yeah, sounds like you're the road runner.
I'm expecting you to go bleep, bleep.
Maybe
He's got haste.
I'll take it out for you. I've got haste.
He's got haste.
You didn't even see me go out.
Alki says he finished 4th of 21 with Orzhov with 2 Kayas on Saturday. Greed says I played 4 color and came second, had to force the Atraxa. Well, I mean, if you drew it, yes, you had to play it, right?
Yeah, why not?
Why not? Okay, but that's all fun and games and everything, and that's great. And we will definitely touch back on on Phyrexia. All will be one, because it's what's going around at the moment. But what we're here tonight to discuss, and of course Philip leaves as I'm about to introduce the topic, that he is full at 1.5 speed.
He's done. He's got nothing to add now to the chat.
Oh, is that how it works? Okay. I'm sure he'll have something to say about that. I had the biggest, most...
Thank you, my buddy.
There we go.
I love you, my bud. Love you.
Oh, so, yeah, I'm coming for you.
We've got, the triads are happening. You can go for it with the triads. So Pauper Triads are coming up on the 4th of March at the Fantasy Fair out at the Rusty Hook. Tickets are available for you to purchase on easygaminggroup.com. We suggest you get those as early as possible to help us make sure that we've got the right kind of price support for you guys to come out there. We're putting together a bit of a bundle between ourselves and the stores that the winner of the 3 events from the Triad is going to get their grubby little paws on. I can tell you it's looking pretty good at the moment, especially obviously designed to be Pauper centric. So if you're a Pauper player, you're going to be quite pleased with the package that's going to be coming your way as the winner. But what we wanted to do was kind of have a chat with these 2 gentlemen who both have very good Pauper collections and have been playing Pauper for a long time and are sort of stalwarts of the Pauper community, and get their ideas of what the meta is looking like at the moment here in SA, what the local meta is, and also start to talk a little bit about what cards you might need to build what decks, where you can get those cards, and obviously if those cards are not easily accessible here in SA or anywhere for that matter, what are good replacements? How do we make up for the fact that sometimes there's a card we just can't get? And I know that I'm not sure, Rob, how much prep you've managed to do, obviously, with the busyness that's been going on, etc., etc. But Phil did mention to us off air that he's got some ideas already lined up to chat about. And I'm sure, Rob, we can just jump in on whatever Phil's talking about, if that works for everybody.
Yeah, sure.
So, Phil, we're gonna let you take it away, man. Talk to us about Pauper in SA. What are we looking at?
So if I take the meta list that on these websites and all the information that we have over there, is I find the meta in the stores that the guys play are a bit different to that. So if I take at some of the list that they say, for example, Affinity at number 1, playing in 80% of the meta. Burn, second on the meta, that plays in 15% of the meta. And then it goes on with Tamir Control, Orzhov Ephemerate, Boggles, Ephemerate Tron. That's how these lists looked at on the information that we find on the sites out there, for example, like Goldfish. But that's not really a 100% true reflection of what we see in store play. Some of the guys in store likes to come up with their own little decks, their own little ideas, what they want to play. Although we do see quite a few of those decks, but we see like people add their own little feel and their own little touches to some of these decks. And I think in a format like that, that's 100% perfect. You play the way you want to play Pauper.
Sure.
Yeah, if I can jump in on that. Obviously, there's a very well established international Pauper metagame, which is driven a lot by Magic Online, and I think you will find that a lot of people gravitate towards those decks because they're obviously known entities. But like Philip says, there's a lot of decks that don't feature on these sort of lists. I mean, one of my pet decks is the Jund Cascade deck that featured maybe a year ago, as a top deck, but has fallen off completely. But it's still one of my favorite decks to play. It's a lot of fun. And then you'll also find that there are decks like, for instance, Slivers. That is a legitimate deck that you can play in Pauper. I mean, because there's a whole lot of common Slivers that you can play. So people like to build those kinds of decks, and there's all kinds of elves, which is always a popular deck. Maybe not showing so much up in the popular metagame at the moment, but still, a deck that's there, and will always be there. So I think what's quite nice about Pauper is that it gives people the opportunity to be able to play Magic the way that they enjoy it. So if you like combo decks, there's a whole bunch of them that you can play.
Yes.
If you like aggro decks, there's a whole bunch of aggro decks that you can play. If you like control, there are way too many control decks that you can play. Way too many.
Yes, I came up against a couple of those as well. I didn't enjoy that, but I did enjoy the combo deck, what made Infinite Red Mana.
Yeah, so at my last Pauper event, I loaned the Goblin deck to Store Alex, Alex that works for me.
Yep.
And he played the deck, and he actually won the Pauper event. And he came back to me afterwards. He was like, "Can I buy your deck?" I'm like, "No, go get your own one."
Go get your own.
So I'll help him. I'll help him find the pieces that he doesn't have. But yeah, the big thing about Pauper decks, if you consider it to any other deck that you would want to build, the financial outlay is so small.
Sure.
You're looking at like top tier decks for like $40, less than $40.
Sorry, just on a comment you made earlier, just to jump in. Sorry, Rob, but Greed.
Yeah.
I've got to say this. So Greed says there's no such thing as too many control decks.
I mean, Greed, you're allowed to be wrong at least twice a day, like a clock. That's perfect.
But yes, so we're going back to the financial outlay for a Pauper deck.
Yeah, so these decks are not expensive, and they're a whole lot of fun to play. And I think that's where it comes into. It's Magic, like I always like to say it, it's Magic like Garfield intended it. So there's interaction, there's gameplay, there's a lot of strategy behind it. There's a whole lot of just good Magic that needs to be played to be able to navigate a game of Pauper, which I think is one of the things that the reason why it appeals to me as a format. It's also like Legacy Light, so it's all the utility spells from Legacy, without all the really expensive haymakers and jewel lands.
I mean, if you think about that, just from my experience and from what I've seen and understand, you're looking at a format where the majority of your basic removal is totally legal. The majority of your basic counterspells are legal. There's no like, and you can run counterspells in Pauper. You can run lightning strikes in Pauper. You can do all these things that do things to your opponent's stuff. Like you say, it generates a lot of interaction. Whereas I find that in other formats sometimes one person's deck is going to shut somebody else's decks down. Just shut it down.
Yeah.
Whereas in
There's a lot
Pauper,
more solitaire.
in
A lot
my
more solitaire.
experience of Pauper, and to be perfectly honest, it's been that one particular event that I played in. But
Yeah.
it was a fun event, and I got to play against a multitude of different decks. And my experience of
Yeah.
that was that there was, even though I played against a couple of control decks, the control decks didn't shut me down. They put sort of hurdles in my way, but I was still able to play around them or, you know, through them and stuff. It wasn't like I'm sitting there watching my opponent play with their deck.
Yeah, I mean, I think in that specific event there was a lack of an actual control deck present there. But I think what you did have was you had a lot of the tempo decks,
Yeah.
which will trade spell pierces and counter spells for minor advantages, for incremental advantages throughout the game.
Sure.
And that's where you don't get that kind of. It's either like bomb shut your opponent down in other formats, where you're not trying to like nickel and dime them. You're trying to, in other formats you're trying to like haymaker. Whereas Pauper's like nickel and diming. It's all about 1 point of damage and 2 points of damage and 3 1/1 flyers versus having some 5-6 first striking haste, death touching protection from everything creature that you can play.
Sure.
You know? So there's that. And then another thing that's quite nice about the format is, and this is something that I noticed recently, was that in the past 2 years, there have been a lot of common cards either downshifted into common or introduced into Pauper, into Magic for the sake of Pauper. So if you take, for instance, two of the top decks at the moment, you take the mono red deck and you also take the blue black, we want to call it the fishy deck. They call it UB40 because it's blue black and it's 40 power. That's on the creatures. Those decks, the majority of those cards that are being played in those decks are from the last 2 or 3 years worth of standard, you know? So
Sure.
You're looking at cards that are in like high availability that you can build these decks with. And then with all the most recent reprints, like Dominaria Remastered was an amazing set for Pauper because it reprinted Chainer's Edict, Chain Lightning, and a whole bunch of other cards that were needed, that were quite old and hard to find and slightly expensive. So we've got a lot of reprints that have been happening over the last couple of years, which make the format a lot more accessible. And then there are the couple of hen's teeth we were discussing off air just before we started about cards like Dust to Dust, which is an artifact. It's the Affinity Hoser card. It exiles 2 artifacts, and those are almost impossible to find.
Sure.
So when people are building their red X decks and they're going like, well, I'm just going to pick up 3 Dust to Dusts for my sideboard. No, you're not. You are not. You're not going to find them locally. You're not going to find them internationally. And if you do find them locally, please let me know because I'd like to get them.
LKSA says
Me
the
too.
master
Wait,
sets have helped
wait.
big time to bring cards into Pauper. Nocturnal Knight says Phil's UB40 has some neat tricks. Elkie says it's also a cheap format to Pringle out your deck. Absolutely, the foils are pretty cool.
Yeah.
Also, just to make a
on
quick
that-
announcement, we have our first ticket sold for the Triads from Ethan Gartside. Thank you, Ethan. Well, we're looking forward to hosting you on the 4th, man. It's going to be a blast. So that's the first ticket sold for the event. Makes me happy. But let's just quickly, so I'm going to jump backwards a little bit.
Yeah.
Rob, you were talking about the fact that a lot of the cards that are in these decks now are from the last sort of 3 years worth of Magic Standard. And so they're easily available.
Yeah.
They're readily available. Phil, you had a look at Phyrexia All Will Be One, and you've managed to pick out a couple of cards from that particular set, this latest set, that you think are going to be really good in various Pauper decks. Take us through some of those picks.
So I think I'm going to start. I identified like a card per color. There are obviously a lot more cards, and these are kind of cards I want to play with because they look like they could be so much fun. And I think to make Rob happy, I'm going to start off with a red card. And then Rob, the first card I want to talk about is Blazing Crescendo. It is a common red, common instant speed. Target creature gets +3/+1 until end of turn. Exile the top card of your library until your next turn. You may play that card. So the amount of advantage you can gain from this card. Yeah, I know a lot of these red decks play the variant of it, which shows the top 2 cards. But I like this card, especially in more aggro-y red decks that wants to punch harder, quicker. That +3/+1 buff that creature can get, I think it will make it.
It's not an insignificant amount of power add.
Yeah, exactly.
It's basically a reckless brute and
exiling that
brute
card.
strength and reckless impulse. Yeah.
Exiling that card and playing that card until your next turn. Maybe you can exile something great, setting up your next play, and drawing a fresh card off the top. I mean, that could be the difference in Pauper, like Robert said, that 1 or 2 or 3 damage that you just need to get over the edge. I recall back killing a person with a Thrapban in Spectre. That was like a for me. Man, I killed a guy with a 1/2 creature because he had no blockers and he was on 1 life. I mean, come on, killing a guy with a 1/2. Where do you see that? So that's the first card I want to talk about, and I really like this card. I think it's a really good red card for Pauper, and maybe these Kuldata red decks and mono red decks can maybe try this card out and see how this card works in their strategies.
I definitely think that's a 4 out of 5 star card.
Yeah.
What's the card called again?
Blazing Crescendo.
It's called Blazing Crescendo. So it's like a reckless impulse.
It's brute strength and reckless impulse like married together into one card.
100%.
Which is quite nice because both those cards see play in those red decks. So now you've actually got a card that does both things in one card now. So you give you extra slots now in your deck.
Okay, so there for people watching, there's the card. It's obviously common, Blazing Crescendo, 1 in red, instant. Target creature gets +3/+1 until end of turn. Exile the top card of your library until the end of your next turn. You may play that card. I just on that alone, looking at the format, I'd agree with Rob and Full and go. That's definitely a 4 out of 5.
That's a good card
in the format. Yeah. Okay, what's next?
I mean, like Rob said. So I'm gonna go to blue because Rob likes blue the most in Pauper, and I like blue the most in Pauper. So with blue, there was a lot of cards. I mean, there's that new counter spell. There's a few other great cards. But I'm gonna listen to Rob. I'm gonna drag this one out, Chris.
Salty. Rob, don't be so salty.
Sorry, done yet?
I want to identify Ica Synthesizer. I just love the look of this card. It's a blue card. It's a Phyrexian wizard. It's a 1/3 for 2 mana going. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put an oil counter on Ica Synthesizer. As long as Ica Synthesizer has 4 or more oil counters on it, it gets +2/+0 and can't be blocked. I think the thing for the card here for me is there's a lot of cards that does something similar like this. But very easily can you put those oil counters on it, I think, and then all of a sudden you have a 3/3 unblockable flyer.
I mean, in blue to be able to put those counters on there for playing non-creature spells, I mean that's bread and butter. That's what you should be doing.
100% correct. Yeah. At the end of the day, once you've done that, you've got this 3/3 body that's unblockable. Yeah. And in most games, if they can't get rid of this creature, that will take you to the win.
I'll be honest, I'd like to see that creature being played with Blazing Crescendo from the card before.
That is a great idea.
That would be cool.
Really good.
That would be cool. We got some shout out. Well, some chat in chat. Elkie says Monastery Swift Spear became legal in Pauper out of DM22. So good in Pauper. Greed says, woo, good blue cards. Nocturnal Knight says, Swift Spear, my heartbreak girls. So that's all good. But yeah, okay.
Yeah, that
All
was
right,
quite
cool.
a
So
shake-up.
we've had the two cards so far. We've had the Crescendo and the Ica Synthesizer. What else are we looking at, Phil?
I want to speak about black. Anoint
Please
with
talk about black.
affliction.
Yes,
Yeah,
Anoint with
Anoint
Affliction.
with Affliction.
This is a removal card of note.
Wow. This is a great card. I mean, it says instant speed, 2 mana, exile target creature if it has mana value 3 or less, or when a player is corrupted, exile that creature instead of its controller has 3 or more poison counters on it. I mean, solid 2 mana, exile it.
I mean, yeah, it's just nuts.
Okay, let me just put it there. So in UB40 or the sushi fish decks, you pump those 5/5s out turn 3, sometimes 2 of them turn 3. Then this card is not going to help you a lot in that situation. But if the person maybe was corrupted, then that card would help you a lot. But we've got other amazing black removal in Pauper. So I really think I like the look of this card, and again, it's a really good removal card for Pauper.
I agree. I think it just at that cost and what you're able to do with it, and should you have some way of bringing your corrupted strategy online in a Pauper game, it just makes it just so much better. But for 1 and a black, exile a target creature if it has mana value 3 or less in a Pauper format, done. Kill stuff. Just get rid of it. And it's not the really cool thing about it is it's not destroy, it's not kill, it's exile. It's gone.
Yeah, so those fishes go bye-bye. We cut them up in little blocks and they do not come back this time.
Sure.
But I like playing the fishes, so they are pretty good. And let's go to white.
Cool.
Yeah, so first I had a look at that Mer. What was the name of that girl that makes all these toxic guys? And I go, man, I would like to build around
That
this little girl.
5-drop girl that comes in and makes two little mites.
Yeah. That makes 3 mites. So it enters the back and it makes 2 mites. Because also one of the decks that I love to play the most, it's called Ors of Ephemerate or Jeskai Ephemerate, where you like to bouncy stuff and let them come into the battlefield.
We like
it's at 5
bouncy
mana.
stuff.
Yeah, it's at 5 mana, but that still looks like a pretty solid card to play around with at 5 mana. You got the 3 flying body, and you've got these toxic mites that can come.
You're talking about the Basilica Shepherd.
Yeah, that one, Basilica Shepherd. So I had a look at that. But I think my favorite one for this set, if I must pick a card for this set, I think I want to go with Planar Disruption.
Yeah, man, this is
It's an
removal.
aura. Yeah,
That's
it's
a
an
card.
aura. Yeah. Enchant artifact creature, planeswalker. Although that there's no planeswalkers in Pauper, let me just add that in there. Enchanted permanent can't block or activated abilities can't be played. So what I like about this card is this to me is an alternative to Dust to Dust. So for the guys that can't find Dust to Dust, you play this on his artifact land and he can't tap it from mana. How
Yeah,
nice is that?
Can I just on that? I just want to make a note here, quick, just so that everybody's aware. Most of the time, when these effects come into play that I've seen, there's a stipulation that says enchanted permanent can't attack or block, and its activated abilities can't be activated unless it's a mana ability. Here, there is no unless it's a mana ability.
No,
this
no,
just shuts
no.
it down.
So
Whatever it is, it's done until this enchantment
So
goes away.
So it's a bit slower than Dust to Dust, where it doesn't exile the artifacts and things like that. But to me, it is an answer for the Dust to Dust that's not so that we can't find this in South Africa. So, I mean, they can have a look at Planar Distortion. It's a really good card, I think, that can run in your sideboards or even play their main board. Because at the end of the day, it's still good, solid removal.
And again, very cheap, nice and easy to get out. I mean, 1 and a white. It's really not. It's not going to put that much of a strain on your mana base. So definitely a good card to consider.
I feel Pauper, you want to gain advantage early on.
Yeah.
For example, if I hit that Goliath Paladin on the battlefield and I gain the initiative, and then end of turn I go Ephemerate, and it does it again, and then the next turn I go Spirited Companion or Pegasus Guardian that bounces it back to man, play it again. So the amount of advantage you can gain from one or two and using your resources nicely, I think that at the end of the day dictates where these games are going to go, because it's, in a lot of cases, it's a big grindy match, and that 1 or 2 or 3 damage really at the end of the day plays a big part in these games.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for that, Phil. I hope everybody made notes. I didn't, but it's cool.
Yeah.
I know
Green.
where Phil lives.
What about green? Green.
Yeah,
Oh.
talk about green. Come on, talk about green.
Sorry, I thought we'd already done blue.
Green. Green.
So again, with green, there was so many options, so many good cards in green. So I'm gonna go. Is Toxic gonna be a thing in Pauper? Do you guys? I'm gonna pose this question to you before answering this question. Something like Tyrannox, Atrocity, or Blight Belly Rat. Do you think things like that would see Pauper play?
Blight Belly Rat is a good card, hey?
Viable in Pauper, because I mean, 5 mana for a hasty Toxic 3 guy. I mean, that's amazing. That to me is just like that's amazing. So I don't know, Rob. What do you think? Do you think we're gonna see, or even Crispy? Do you think we're gonna see Toxic in Pauper?
I don't think it's going to have too much of an impact, to be honest.
I don't think
that.
Sorry, carry on.
No, I just think that at those mana costs, there's better things to be fooling around with.
I don't think I know enough about the format to make a call on whether or not Toxic will enter the format. I will say this, and I think this can be said for just about any format, is that if an individual finds a way that makes it viable to play in the format, then you may find a niche place where it comes in. You may get that 1-2 odd deck somewhere that's actually got the Toxic mechanic going on, maybe aiming for that corruption to enable early removal of big things. You know what I mean? That's the kind of thing I would think. I don't, like I said, I don't know enough about the format to be able to say, oh yeah, Toxic's going to make an impact, or no, it's not going to make an impact. But I do think that players are smart, and players generally figure some things out, and there are those guys out there who've been waiting for Poison, Toxic, whatever you want to call it, to come back into a format that they can play. And so there will be people who try to find a way to make it work. And I think Blightbelly Rat, looking at it, is one of those cards that's going to make. I mean, so 1 and a black for a 2/2 Phyrexian Rat that comes in as Toxic 1. When Blightbelly Rat dies, proliferate. So I mean, it's not a bad Toxic card. You know what I mean?
It's a good card. I think one of the things that this allows goes back to what I said right at the beginning, is that there is so much scope for people to be able to do what they want to.
Yeah.
So if you want to build a particular type of deck, the options are there. Yeah. The ability to be able to build a Toxic deck is there now, because you've got cards. If you want to build fairies are there. If you want to build rats are there. If you want to build humans are there. So whatever you want to do, like if you've got a particular tribe that's close to your heart, you know, if you want to do golems, or if you want to do anything, like there's all kinds of stuff that exists out there, and you can play whatever it is that appeals to you. And that's what's so great about the format. And sometimes these decks that aren't part of the metagame, that come in, you know, from left field, have an advantage, because the meta decks can't deal with them. They don't have the tools at their disposal, because they're trying to deal with meta decks.
Yeah.
So
sorry, I think we and just to say that happens in other formats as well. I think we saw that at the there was the MTG Arena Standard event a while back, where the guy who ended up winning, I think it was can't remember who it was now, but anyway, the point was that he brought this very left field deck that nobody knew about against a whole bunch of meta decks, and the meta decks could not deal with it. Yeah. So in that respect, I don't see how that's any different in Pauper. I think absolutely, you bring something out of left field in Pauper, People aren't going to be able because they're not geared towards dealing with something that they haven't, seen before.
Exactly.
Greed says a friend of mine has a Pauper Infect deck. It's pretty toxic already without the new toxic cards. Alki says it does give poison some additional support. Yes, it does.
So Crispy, then on that note, because I know a couple of guys are going to tweak a bit these toxic decks or going forward, then I think the card I will choose of this list is called Thirsting Roots. It says choose one, search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, and then shuffle, or 1 green mana, proliferate. This reminds me of way back in the day when we had Lay the Land, and not too long ago in Kaladesh we had a tune with Ether that kind of almost worked on the same principle. And that card actually got banned in Standard. It was that good. Yeah.
This is a very interesting card.
I love this card. It's a really good card. Even green has cool cards. Wait, what did I say? Wait. Who was that? Who was that guy?
The coolest cards.
This is a very cool card.
Yeah. So,
I must say, I'm a huge fan of these option cards. For me, the value in a card like this is the fact that you're paying 1 mana, you've got 2 choices. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that in a card. I like a card that gives me that kind of value that says, for this little bit of mana, you have the option. Even when they give you the 3 options on a little bit higher, so you're paying 1 and a pip for 3 options, you've got options. And it's depending on where you are in the game and what you need at that particular time that these cards become very clutch. Because you pull this card just at that moment where you need to proliferate. Let's say, for instance, you're running a toxic strategy. Your opponent's sitting on 9 poison counters, whatever the case may be. You're about to die from damage or whatever. You draw this card, and you're just like, 1 drop, proliferate, 10, you're dead. Yeah. Whereas earlier on in the game, maybe you needed that extra land. So cards like this provide support for both early game and late game, which I think is very important. I think if the more cards like that you're going to have in a deck, the better off you're going to be. And at that mana value, it's like no brainer. You should have this card in a deck if you're running green. Even if you're not playing toxic, you should have this card because you could just go get a land. I mean, come on.
I mean, it's gaining advantage. It's gaining advantage
for sure. It's a nice card. I like it.
I think it's good in particular types of decks. Decks that are doing +1/+1 counters, or using oil, or using where the proliferate matters.
Yeah.
Fetching the land is obviously great in the beginning, but to have the proliferate matter would be the kind of deck where that would fit. It's not going to fit in a green stompy deck, because that doesn't have the +1/+1 counters to proliferate.
Well, you wouldn't need it because they're big already.
Well, sometimes they're just small and then they get rancored.
Colossal Dreadmore.
That is a bad card in any format, including Pauper.
It reminds me of those the good old days of high mana value vanilla stompy things that nowadays. What was the one that I was remembering the other day? I can't even. I can remember. I can remember. It was like
best one ever.
This blue, the scaled great worm or something. It was like this blue wormy dragony thing
from Weatherlight.
Yeah, and it was like this.
It was like a wyvern.
8 mana for the 7/7 nothing.
Not even trample.
The best one ever. Watch Wolf. 2 mana. Green and white for a 3/3 wolf.
Yeah.
No, but that's good. We're talking about bad cards.
We're talking about crappy vanilla crap.
That card these days is considered bad because they are much better cards at that value.
Yeah,
sure.
Because if you 2 mana for a 3/3 with no abilities, terrible. Like, why would you even play that?
Yeah, no, it's all. I think nowadays, and sorry, I'm just quickly doing a thing. I think nowadays, what's important and what I've noticed about Magic players in general, over the last little while, and with the cards that people talk about and pick, it's all about value. What value are you getting from the card? If the card is not generating value for you in your deck, then it's not a good card. You know, and I think that runs across two Mog flunkies, says Elkie. That runs across all formats. If you're in Pauper, you want cards that give you value. It's like you said earlier, Phil, it's about getting that advantage, gaining that advantage, however that advantage is gained. You want the value in the cards to do that for you. And I think that for those of you who are interested in playing Pauper, I don't know if there's anyone out there who hasn't played Pauper before. If we have any new Pauper players out there watching or listening or whatever the case may be, and you're
Come play.
Yeah, and you're in the area, get round to Sad Robot, go around to Top Deck. There is a Pauper scene at both of those stores. I'm sure there are at other stores. I just don't know about them. But I do know that there is a scene at both of those stores that you can go and play at. And you can talk to Rob, you can talk to Phil, you can sit down and go, hey, I want to build this kind of a deck. What would you suggest? Or I want to build this meta deck. How can you help me find these cards? These are the guys you want to talk to. These are the guys you want to go and get your goodies from. And we're not just saying that because we want to punt the stores and stuff and punt our events and everything. We want to make this format accessible. People need to play Pauper, and people need to remember that because Pauper is common, finding the cards generally is easier than trying to build a deck for, say, standard or modern.
And definitely cheaper.
And a lot cheaper. I mean, we touched on this a number of times already, that it's a lot cheaper to build a Pauper deck. And then what we're trying to do is not only make the format accessible, but provide a place to give you some kind of competitive play, where it's not just a case of I'm going to go play kitchen table Magic with my Pauper mates because that's how we play Pauper. You know, we want to be able to say to you, Pauper is an important format, and because it's an important format, we're putting stuff together for you, which is why we're doing this Triads thing, because we want to see how it works and how you guys like it. And if you like it, we'll do it again, and we'll make it bigger, and we'll make it more. You know,
one of the misconceptions that people have when you start talking about Pauper is that it's common card, so it must be bad. And you hear a lot of people saying that, and then you ask them like, "Have you ever played the format?"
Yeah.
No, why would I play it? It's bad. And then you go, well, come and play. And when a person has that sort of mentality and then they play and they walk away, 9 times out of 10, they walk away going, I never knew that this would be as much fun as it was. And then all of a sudden you've got a person that's like they're in the format and they want to play more because it's just such a good format.
Okay, so we got a couple of things from Chacha quickly. Nocturnal Night says Pauper is about synergies more than straight value, but more Pauper players equals more better.
Yeah.
Okay, and then Elkie says buy a box and you're almost guaranteed to have a full set of Pauper cards from the set. Just on what you've just said, Rob, the fact that people think that because it's Pauper and common, cards are bad. This is my one and only Pauper Commander deck. Okay? And with this Pauper Commander deck, we decided that the rules we were going to use were the ones that said that you could use an uncommon legendary creature as your commander, which is what we went for. And so I went for Kalane Reclusive Painter, right? Who's a little 2-drop, black and a red, for a 1/2. When she enters the battlefield, create a treasure token. Other creatures you control enter the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 count on them for each mana from a treasure spent to cast them, right? This deck has got some nuts cards in it, and I'd like to read them out to you. And if you think Pauper's bad, these are all common. Okay? So, first thing we've got is, where did it go?
Well, I can rattle off a list for you if you'd like.
Pillage. Heartless Pillage, Knight's Whisper, Murder, Gravedigger, Tormod's Crypt, Doomblade, Ornithopter of Paradise, Eldrazi Devastator. Eldrazi Devastator. Okay.
That is a deck. There is a deck for that card.
Rapacious Dragon. Pestilence.
Yep. There's a deck for that card.
Okay. Hired Hexblade. Feign Death. Thriller Possibilities. Kaya's Ghost Form. Sign in Blood. Terminate.
Yeah.
Cast Down. Bone Shards. But Demonic Vigor. Forge of Heroes, Ulamog's Crusher, Unexpected Windfall, Oubliette.
Yeah.
Oubliette.
Lightning Bolt.
Snap, Spike Shot Goblin, Horde Robber, Abrade, Relic
Yeah.
of Progenitus. Hello.
Yep.
Dead Revels. I mean, come on. I mean, it's like, there we go. Oubliette. There it is. Brain Spoil. Giants. I mean, you cannot sit here and tell me Shambling Ghast is a common card. How this card was so big. It was like one of the most popular cards in Standard for I don't know how long. You know.
Yeah.
Deadly Dispute. What an amazing card.
Yeah. No, that's a terrible card. Why would anyone play that in a deck?
You know, why would you want to just sack something and draw cards and make treasure? And
Oh no.
stuff,
Yeah, that's
you know?
horrible.
Rakdos Signet, Direfleet Hoarder, Vault Robber. I mean, these are all cards that are common. And yes,
Yeah.
this is a commander deck. But at the
And
end
that's
of the day,
only in black and red.
and that's only in black and
that's
red,
only in black and red.
right?
Yeah.
And yes, this is a commander deck, but you can do this in Pauper. You run these cards in Pauper. You know what I mean? It's not a format that you look at. I can't do it anymore, and I can't do it. And not that I did do it before. I never poo-pooed Pauper, to be perfectly honest. I just never got into Pauper. It wasn't. It didn't. I mean,
It wasn't on your radar.
it wasn't on my radar. I fell in love with Commander, and that's kind of where I settled for a while. You know, but the point is that not having played it, I can honestly turn around and go, "This is a super fun format that I am now trying to get into."
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
And the reason I'm trying to get into it is because it's just so much fun.
Yeah.
You know,
That's it.
it's
That's
just a
the whole-
fun format to play. And if you're not playing it, you really should give it a try. And definitely don't dismiss it until you have. If you try it
Great
and you
advice.
decide you don't like it, then you don't like it. So what? You know what I mean? What have you lost?
Yeah.
These
Look,
guys
not
between
everything is
them,
for everyone.
these guys between them have got like 1,000 Pauper decks. Go to the shop, ask them if you can borrow
And
one just
two.
to see if it works and if you like it, whatever. Play a couple of games with it. See if it's cool for you. If you don't like it, walk away. Go play something else. If you do like it,
Yeah.
buy it. Build a deck. Go. Have fun. You know,
Yeah.
that's what this is all about. And we know that there are Pauper players out there, and we just want to encourage them to have some fun and to do this thing and to get the scene going again so that people can play these games and have this much fun. I literally have been playing for so long in a format Commander where technically I should be making infinite stuff often because it's Commander and I should be able to do this thing. I have never made infinite anything until I went to go play Pauper, and in a little goblin deck I made infinite red mana twice, and for me that was like, I didn't win the game, I don't care. You know why? Because I made infinite red mana and that was fine by me.
I
had
think the
fun.
difference between like a Pauper deck and a commander deck is the consistency of having the four ofs, having the cards that contribute towards a strategy, whereas you are limited in a commander deck where you've got one card, you know, and you need to have two of these specific cards to be able to have a certain interaction, whereas in Pauper you can have 4 copies, 6 copies, 8 copies, because some copies that do the same thing, so you've got some redundancy, and I think that's why committing to a game plan and being able to execute a game plan consistently is very, very possible in these decks, and then they've got all the backup that you could need. So you've got all the control, all the removal, it's all there. So everything,
All of
anything that you want, anything that you want in a metagame is there in the Pauper metagame at the cost of a mythic. I'll put it out
I was just going to read some stuff for you here. So
Valorian Terror is a mythic.
So Nocturnal Knight says, I've given modern decks a run for their money with my Pauper decks. Greed says
for sure.
Greed says you can build a whole Pauper deck for the price of a playset of any modern staple.
Yeah. You can build a gauntlet of Pauper decks.
Nocturnal Knight
the
says
price of a
possibly more than one deck. Elky
Yeah,
says
a whole gauntlet.
Elky says I could sell 1 Cavern of Souls and have a top tier Pauper deck, 2 if I sell a red monkey. Nocturnal Knight
Exactly.
says Phil might only have 2, but the Sad Robot community has a couple of decks between the players as well, and Rob has a bunch of decks. Okay, so I exaggerate every now and then. Every couple of thousand times I exaggerate. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things.
Yeah,
I
every couple of thousand.
you know,
yeah.
I don't know what anyone's talking about. I never
Exaggeration is
exaggerate
fine.
ever. Okay, ever. I never exaggerate. I don't.
Never ever.
I don't. Never ever have I. Um,
Is that a game? Are we playing a new game now?
it's a new game. Okay, Rob. Yep.
I'm bad with that. I'm bad with that game. So I'll just leave it there. And I'll cast my big fishes on turn 3 and I'm my opponent to deal with it.
So there we go. I mean, just to be perfect, like just to sort of round it off for this evening, just to let everybody know that our purpose in these type of discussions is to hopefully build some enthusiasm and some excitement in the community about this particular format. We're going to be doing it with all the formats that we're getting involved in this year. Obviously, we're going to be really piling on the hype for the Commander League in the second half of this year. I'll be finding out tomorrow about another thing we're working on, whether or not that's going to be getting off the ground. If it is, that's very exciting for us as well. But the Pauper thing is important to us. And also, just to give a shout out to our legacy players, again, the three of us here, these strange musketeers, are working out a plan to get some competitive legacy stuff happening this year. They're going to be at particular little venues. That I think we sort of lined up 2 events at this point in time, which I think is okay. If they work well, then we'll push for more numbers next year. We'll see what we can do, or later even in the year if people are enjoying them, maybe we can put something else together. But we'll see. But we'll let everybody know about that. For now, our focus right now is about Pauper and getting this triad off the ground, because it is going to be fun, and you are going to pick a faction. And then you're going to represent that faction through the 3 tournaments, and then we'll see which faction wins, and then we'll see which player wins, and it's really going to be a lot of fun, I think, as we go through the year and get these events done and dusted. I also just wanted to say, from an EGG point of view, we're going to be making a couple of changes. We had a rather big EGG meeting over the weekend that has kind of redefined our focus for the year. In a good way, not in a bad way, in a very good way. And we're going to be making a whole bunch of new things available to people. We're going to be pushing a lot of patron exclusive stuff as well, because we feel that that's something that we haven't been doing for our patrons, who've been amazing and are amazing and continue to be amazing. We're going to be offering a lot of cool stuff there, as well as some very cool support. We're also looking at, if everything we're planning to do goes according to plan by mid-year, we will have a 100% EGG event that will be wholly and truly and everything done by EGG. It won't rely on anyone else for anything except for people to come and have some fun. And that's something we're really looking forward to. It's going to be a big deal for us if we can get there. But it's on the cards, and it's in the works, and it's in the plans, and we'll let you know as we get closer to the time if it's going to happen. But it's gonna be pretty cool. But yeah, our goal as EGG has always been about building the community. Building the community is about building the player base and making sure that the players know that they have somewhere to play. And so to have our 2 premium WPN stores, Sad Robot and Top Deck, get involved in something like this for the Pauper community is just it's a huge pat on the back for us and for them and for you guys as part of the community. And I think that if you don't take advantage of it, you're kind of stabbing yourself in the foot. So come play with us. That's the vibe I want to put out there. Come and build this community. Let's get a Pauper scene going so that we can have some mad interactive fun, because that's what it's all about. And like I said before, if there's anyone out there who has any questions, if you're around the stores, either Sad Robot or Top Deck, pop in. Just go in, take a seat, ask Phil, ask Rob if you can just chat to them for a couple of minutes. What is the deck you're wanting to build? They will give you suggestions, what cards to be looking at, where you can get those cards. If they've got them in store, they can just say, we've got them here. If you want them, buy them. You know, it really is that simple for Pauper. It's not a difficult format to get into. So my advice to anyone out there who's looking to get involved in Pauper and wanting to play Pauper, get out there, get to the stores, get yourself a deck and play. Just play. That's all you got to do. Once you've played it, you can then make up your mind. But until then, don't read it. Don't judge a Pauper by its cover.
If I can also just make one thing known to people, is that if you play MTGO, so like the old Magic Online, you can go infinite on Magic Online playing Pauper. I want to let that be known. So when you consider that you take your registration, your sign-up fee, and all of that you pay to MTGO for your initial setup, what they give you as part of that is play points. And for I think a not very large amount, probably the equivalent of like $25. You could build an online Magic Online Pauper deck, a top tier 1 deck, and if you join the leagues with the free play points that you get when you sign up, if you have a 4-1 record, which is not that hard to do with a really good Pauper deck, you can just keep on re-entering into these leagues and earning rewards to the point that it could start funding other formats for yourself or more Pauper decks, because you keep earning treasure chests and you keep earning tickets back and all of that sort of thing. So you can actually get yourself into a never-ending loop of re-entries into Pauper leagues, which is quite a lot of fun. And it's something that I enjoyed doing a while back when I had some free time. I took a couple of days and I signed up for a Pauper league and went 4-1, then went 5-0, then went 4-1, then went 5-0, and that was all at the cost of nothing, really.
Well, your initial
it was the initial sign up, and I thought that was great. And what was also awesome is the amount that I learned while playing that was. Because you get all these cool interactions that happen, and you start to figure out why certain cards are in certain decks, and it was very cool to play through. But so if you're not at a local, if you don't have access to a local game store, and this is where I'm trying to get to, is that there are alternatives to be able to play this format that are accessible and not super expensive. So if you don't have the likes of a local game store to be able to go and play it, play Magic Online, play Pauper Magic Online, and you will find yourself pleasantly surprised at how it goes.
On Arena, there is a Pauper format called Artisan, which is, it's Pauper, but it's called Artisan, and it's on Arena. It doesn't work the same way as online. There isn't a league that you can jump into and play, but you can go and build a Pauper deck and have a look at how it works. Call up your mates who are playing Pauper, direct challenge each other, get some games in, feel how it feels. Rob's right. There are alternatives if you don't have an LGS close by. So go out there and try them. Then, if you're happy with the deck, call a store. I need these cards. Yeah. Get it in paper.
Get them.
And then come play at our events.
Come play. That's all that they need to do.
As far as, Phil, you're busy hosting a mad series of Pauper events at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah, so for this month, every Saturday, I said, let's just do Pauper every single Saturday, starting at 10 o'clock, to get the guys into the meta, understanding the meta, so that we are trying to prepare them for that first one we're having the 4th of March. And that was my idea behind this.
So I was just about to say, I see what's happening here. This is prep.
No.
This is prep work.
No.
This is prep to take on the top decks and the independents.
Testing.
They're testing.
Team testing.
Oh my gosh, it's the team testing. Team Sad Robots testing to take down Top Deck and the brown shirts. Oh my word.
They caught me.
He's going to need it.
No.
He needs it.
It's a recruiting strategy.
It's not.
You need it, Red Jesse.
Elkie says, buy a box at your LGS, get all the cards, sell the uncommons, rares, and mythics, and then buy the next set and just keep the commons.
It's a legit strategy, and I approve highly.
Okay, apparently Elkie says Artisan on Arena includes uncommons. So just, if you want to try out your Pauper stuff, take away the uncommons. Just do that, because you can do it. It's Arena.
I know they used to have standard Pauper on Arena, which was, I don't know, a thing. But I don't know if it's still a thing.
I don't think so. I just, I go bash people with.
And
my
it wasn't
stuff.
testing, okay?
Yeah.
It wasn't testing, okay? We just want to get the guys into Pauper and building the hype for Pauper. Come on, guys, come on. That was a better idea than we are testing at SAT. We would never.
No, you'd never. I don't have anyone to test with.
Hey?
I can't. I did hear a rumor that the pot squad is gonna make their way down for the first triad.
Oh, they're going to play for the Brown Coats, or are they going to come play for Top Deck?
I don't know who they're going to play for, but I heard a rumor that Ryan and the boys are putting some decks together and are planning to come and gate crash at our
bring it
at our thing.
He's more he's more than happy to go and stamp his flag onto the wall, I think.
Yeah, no, I think so.
Yeah, you must just remember we are testing it, sad robots will be prepared.
Okay, all right, cool.
That's it. You know, bring their best decks. You know, they're gonna need it.
Yeah, aren't we all? I need to build a deck because I don't want to borrow one this time, so I got to build one. I think I will build me some.
But then who's gonna play my goblins?
I want to build your goblin combo deck.
Okay, tell me what you need.
I'll tell you what I need because I think it was fun. I enjoyed playing it. It was good.
It was, and it got some updates now, so it actually plays a little bit better now.
So see, this is exciting for me. This is exciting.
That Blazing Crescendo is going to be a problem in Pauper. That is going to be such a strong card in Pauper. In these red decks, so strong.
I'm gonna go get me a couple of copies of a couple of them for play set.
That's gonna be a strong card in these.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us this evening. I really do appreciate it. To Rob and to Phil, thank you so much for taking the time to chat to us again. We will be chatting to you guys again in the build-up to the Triad on the 4th of March. Maybe not next week, but probably the week after, which will be the week just before it, which is going to be good fun. Next week, I think we may be chatting to a judge or two about some of the new mechanics from the new set. So if anybody's got questions or queries or is not sure about how oil counters work and proliferate and toxic and all of those things that have come in and corrupt and all of the stuff that's come in with the new set, join us next week when we'll be chatting to the knowledgeable ones about that, and they can give us all the ins and outs of how that's going to work in terms of interaction and gameplay and rulings, etc., etc.
I've got a question for you to ask.
Yeah.
You can ask them, why doesn't proliferate work if there's nothing to proliferate?
Look, I think the answer is in your question.
But ask the judges, make sure.
No, because Cora will shout at me. And she will tell me that the answer is in my question. Now move on.
Go away. Go away. Go away.
Yeah.
And Elkie says, depending on where you are, they're sealed on Arena from Wednesday. So get into that. Yes, there is. Obviously, the new set drops on Arena tomorrow, and everything will be available. We can do cool stuff. I'm looking forward to doing some cool drafting. I've been having a lot of fun drafting. It's even though I'm really, really bad at it, I do enjoy trying to get better at it. And I have discovered over the last little while that, and this is the thing, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but it apparently, the more you play Magic, the better you get at it. Because you learn stuff and then you lose a lot, and in losing a lot, you actually learn a lot. And if you can take those lessons,
no, it doesn't work.
And if you can take those lessons, you actually do get better. And I feel like I've been getting better.
I'm still bad.
Oh yeah, whatever, Phil. I've been getting better. I do want to say this. I just want to say this out loud. This is the first time I'm actually gonna say this, but I have beaten Bavin Shimper in a best of 3 draft match. I've done it once. It will probably never happen again, but I did do it, and I feel good about it. Oh dear. And then this Wednesday. No, Elkie, you can't steal my Wednesday thunder, bro. My Wednesday thunder. If you're streaming, record it and we'll come and watch it. What you need to be watching on Wednesday night is Command This right here on twitch.tv/Easy Gaming Group. We decided yesterday that in honor of Phyrexia, all will be one. The theme for this week's Wednesday's Command This is mono-colored praetors. And I will be Urobrask the Hidden. Which means, just so that you get a sense of this, 5 mana, legendary creature Praetor, 4/4. Creatures you control have haste. Creatures your opponents control enter the battlefield tapped.
So what new cards are you going to play, Crispiwan?
I am putting in, at the moment, I've got Sulfum, Mayhem Dominus is definitely going in there. I'm definitely playing the new Thrill of Possibilities just for the art, the Nahiri art on that card is absolutely gorgeous, and I happen to have a foily crinkle cut one, which I'm putting in there. There are some, I'm not going to give too much away. There's going to be a lot of fun in there, but there's also some classics going into this deck. So we've got Terror of Mount Velis in there. We've got Anger in the deck. Dragon Master Outcast. Jaxus the Troublemaker. Got some really interesting stuff in here. Even a dwarf noble named Torbrand is going in there. As well as a good friend of mine named Godzilla, who's in the deck. So basically, my theory behind this is that if my creatures are coming in hasty, they may as well be big and do lots of damage really fast. So
Sounds like a plan.
that's what I've gone for. Mono red, big things do damage at haste speed.
Have you got a copy of
Have I got a what?
Have you got a copy of Pandemonium?
No, but I'm sure I can find one before Wednesday.
Because that's a nice card. Because every creature that comes in deals damage equal to power and then has haste.
You see, but that's why we have a Terror of the Peaks, and we have
Impact Tremors,
and we have Impact Tremors, and we have Warstorm Surges.
Yeah, so I think now would be a good time to remind people that their Phyrexia All Will Be One cards were legal as of Friday. So
there we go.
You can play them in your Wednesday night Modern at your local game store, or at your Wednesday night Commander at your local game store, or Friday night Pioneer at your local game store.
At your local game store. Don't forget that. I see Reaction 172 has just joined us. It says, "Oh damn, and I couldn't get the Shelly to you on time for this." It's all good, dude. Ken decided she had dibs on Shelly anyway, so the Shellys that are coming my way from Reaction are going straight into my Orzhov deck. That's where they live. That's where they need to go, and that's going to be good fun. I'm so excited about getting those. I got my Shellys. But yeah, and so I've gone mono red. So I tell you who we've got. So I will be playing Urubrosk. Kendra, otherwise known as 10th Street Egg, will be playing Shieldred, the new one, the horrible, terrifying one.
The nice one.
The nice one. Ryan Uren from Potch will be playing Vorinclex Monstrous Raider.
Of course.
And although this was a toss-up between him and Ty, they kind of flipped a coin as to who got Vorinclexy. So it ended up being Ryan. But Ty will be playing our good friend Jin Gitaxius. Which I'm not excited about at all, which is why Rob, Pyroblasts and red Elemental Blasts, I need them by Wednesday.
I expected Ty to play like Elish
good.
You expected it to play?
Elish Norn.
Yeah, no, we banned Elish Norn.
Oh, okay.
We decided that was just, it was going to be like, if we were going to go Praetors, everyone wanted to play Elish Norn, and we were like, no, okay, so no Elish Norn. Take her out of the equation. Let's do the others instead.
Oh, fine. Then at least the other four colors get representation.
You know,
and white can just be like it is the overlord just watching over it.
Exactly. You know, can I just say there's the white land. What is that white land called? It's the one that comes in tapped, and it generates a white mana. You can pay one on a white sack, draw a card. But the artwork.
Yeah.
The artwork of that card is by a guy called Mark Simonetti. For those of you who don't know, Mark Simonetti is the same artist who did all the artwork that went on our Pauper playmats for last year at Disc World Day.
Nice.
Nice.
The Fair Basilica.
The Fair Basilica. That's it. It's a gorgeous looking card. It's amazing artwork.
The art is amazing.
I'm a big fan of Mark Simonetti's. But anyway, and yes, it's a common, right? That's a good card for Pauper.
Yeah, it's a common. Yeah. There are better ones.
I'm sure there are. But that's pretty much all we have time for this evening, and we've sort of digressed a little bit. But just again, to you guys, thanks so much for joining us on the show. Thanks for sharing your knowledge of the meta. Thanks for getting involved with the Triads. I think it's going to be an awesome series of events. I hope that the Pauper community comes out in droves to support the event and to have some fun and just really just get behind it and do some cool stuff. And then keep an eye on all the socials for everything that's happening in terms of EGG. Obviously, pop in on the different websites from the stores to see what's going on with them and what they're doing during the week. Events all over the place at the moment. So I don't think the Magic community can be bemoaning a lack of things to do during the week at this particular point in time. But to all of you who joined us in chat, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for taking the time to watch us. If you didn't manage to catch the whole show, we will drop it on YouTube tomorrow. You can pick it up right there and catch everything that was discussed here tonight again. But until then, gentlemen, thank you so much. Thank you for joining us. Say good night to everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Have a
Thank you
good
so
one.
much. And until next time, we'll see you on the battlefield.